Drugs destroy lives, but we need not destroy lives to destroy drugs. Stop the killings now.
I will have to destroy her in public.
Dilima, you are finished.
If I were Dilima, ladies and gentlemen, I'll answer.
That those connections are true. She will rot in jail. She will rot in jail.
Karangalan ko po na ako'y kukulong dahil sa mga pinaglalaban ko po.
Yeah. Okay. Maraming salamat. Just an update dun sa video. We know from recent news that a U.S. congressional delegation visited Senator Leila de Lima, and that was after getting a court order requirement, which of course not in the guidelines of PNP, but somehow kasi talagang pinapahirapan ang PNP nag-insist na may court order. Ang ginawa ni Sen Leila and her legal team, immediately nag-file sila ng court order, and the two judges naman immediately granted yung visit of the congressional delegation. And yesterday, I was with Senator Leila sa kanyang trial sa Muntinlupa, and she said that she was so touched by the 5-member congressional delegation, and Congressman Ed Markey actually hugged her and told her how much they love her and just to hang in there, and they're really working hard for her release. So very, very inspiring yung visit na yon. And today, I understand there's also a visit by some of our high, hindi na sila government officials ngayon, pero in the past, they were also leading government officials, and bibisita sila ngayon. Sana, binrant ng PNP. Ang PNP kasi ganyan ang dami-daming requirements, antigen, everything, pagkatapos sasabihin sa iyo, at the last minute, hindi pwede. That's how they play it. Pero tingnan natin, baka naman ngayon mabago. And yesterday in the trial, ang nasa witness stand is Ronnie Dayan, the bodyguard driver. And of course, defense team ni Leila, led by Attorney Rigoroso, did a very brilliant cross-examination, and the prosecutor, Rocamora, followed, and he was really asking so many, irrelevant, off-tangent questions, and the defense brought that to the attention of the judge, and the judge immediately told the prosecutor to, ask direct, straightforward questions instead of, beating around the bush. And so, kahapon, bali natapos yung cross-examination with Dayan. Ang susunod is naman the prosecution witnesses, whom of course, are this, drug lords, just convicted kidnappers, carnappers, murderers. And so, ang sabi ni Leila, maraming salamat dito sa ginagawa natin. She looks forward na sa by December, ma-release na sana siya. And, baka naman the present government might, in an act of, magnanimity o para makascore ng points, ma-release na rin siya. So, we're praying. So, abot tanaw na ang kalayaan, that we, of course, have to work harder and still be very consistent with our advocacy. Kailangan niya yun. Leila has always been in high spirits, kahit anong panahon, kahit kailan mo siya tanungin, lagi niya sinasabi okay siya. But of course, we know that nakikita mo naman sa kanyang physical appearance na hindi siya ganun ka-okay, because she has lost a lot of weight. And nakita rin natin sa video how much she has suffered, no? Sinasabi natin 5 years and a half. Actually, it's longer than that. Kasi pamula talaga nung kanyang binring up yung case ng Davao Death Squad, yung EJK, talagang pinersecute na siya. So even before the arrest on February 24, 2017, pinahirapan na talaga siya. At nakita nyo, no, kung paano talagang siya, hinaras, inoppress, and napakadaming kasalanan na ginawa laban sa kanya. She will be, as I said earlier, watching this recording. Papadala sa kanyang staff So, yun lang, tuloy pa rin ang laban, tuloy pa rin ang ating pagsuporta, tuloy pa rin ang ating, ay nako, assure her that we are nandito pa kahit na nung eleksyon natalo siya at sana nga yun ang kanyang pinaka-big hope na to, vindicate, redeem herself, pero hindi nangyari. So, tuloy pa din ang laban. And ang kanyang staff is still very much around, very much supportive. In fact, right now, itong ating Zoom is being live streamed sa tatlong pages dun sa Leila de Lima's official page, dun sa Women 2022, and Now You Know PH. And so maraming nanonood dito bukod sa ating nandito sa Zoom. And so far, there have been 300 birthday greetings sa kanya sa live stream, and she will be very happy to know that. So, tuloy-tuloy lang ang ating paglaban kay Leila. Hindi pa tapos. At marami pa rin na dapat gawin. And sana, dun sa mga hearings, we can also come kahit hindi naman pinapapasok lahat sa courtroom, pwede pa rin sa labas. Marami pa ding dumarating, pero marami pa rin pulis. These people are really very funny. Spending government money, wala namang threat at all, no? Pero kung may trial, I think the whole contingent of PNP is there. Okay, so it's now 9:47 and papatuloy na tayo sa ating programa. And ang susunod naman natin ay the welcome remarks from the convener of Every Woman, si Ging Deles. Ging.
Wait, good morning. Pero Sok, shouldn't we wait till 10? Kasi yung naka-announce sa atin, 10 o'clock. Okay lang ba yan?
Okay lang kasi Ging, marami yung birthday messages.
Okay. Sige.
So humaba
Okay. Sige, so magandang umaga po sa lahat na narito. Good morning. And I'm happy to welcome all of you in the name of Every Woman, a collection of 10 women's organizations joined by individual women affiliates who have banded together across different regions, generations, classes, and ethnic backgrounds to defend democracy and uphold women's rights and dignity against misogynistic attacks which again had grown rife in recent times. From the very beginning, every woman's being has been tied to the plight of Attorney Leila M. de Lima, former CHR Chair, Justice Secretary, and Senator of the Republic. We were the women in purple and fuchsia who surprised her with a post-birthday assalto in the Senate in 2016 on her last birthday in freedom, in the midst of disturbing public threats and attacks against her, coming from no less than the President. On Valentine's Day 2017, we again paid her a group visit as reports of her imminent arrest became rife. We tied heart bracelets crocheted by urban poor women to our wrists and bound ourselves to her with plastic handcuffs to symbolize our pledge of perpetual solidarity and sisterhood to her cause. 10 days later, as vowed by Duterte, she was arrested and put to jail. In the last more than 5 years since her arrest, exactly 2,011 days today, we have tried our best to be true to our promise, organizing events on special occasions, in person before the pandemic, online in pandemic times, visiting her when possible, keeping her cause alive on our Every Woman Facebook page, and providing accompaniment at her court hearings through Every Woman convener, Sok Reyes. And today we again gather on this very special occasion, an occasion which is supposed to be surely a most happy event, her 63rd birthday. But sadly today, it also fills us with sorrow and anger. Sorrow and anger because Senator Leila is today spending her 6th birthday in jail. 6th birthday. Isipin niyo yan, ang dami nang nangyari. At galit tayo kasi alam natin na hindi naman dapat nakulong si Sen Leila. In fact, seven judges have already found ways. The 7 judges that were assigned to her case have already found ways to withdraw from her case. 5 judges, if I'm not mistaken, who recused, and 2 or 3 judges who retired early just to be released from the responsibility of handling her cause. 3 witnesses have recanted, one of them a state witness. And about 6 more have changed their story or have said that they don't know anything about it. Klaro po na si Senator Leila ay nakulong on trumped-up charges. At alam natin kung bakit. Alam natin kung sino yung nasa likod niyan. Nakita naman natin sa video kung sino yung nangako na ipapakulong siya. Kaya tayo yung nalulungkot, na iiyak, nagagalit. Pero hindi sapat na tumigil tayo doon dahil si Sen Leila hindi tumigil sa paglungkot at sa paggalit. Si Sen Leila tuloy-tuloy na kumilos, albeit from jail, tuloy-tuloy na nagsalita, tuloy-tuloy na nanilbi, tuloy-tuloy na ginampanan ang kanyang mga responsibilidad bilang Senator of the Republic. Tuloy-tuloy na isa sa pinakamatindi at malinaw na boses sa paglaban sa mga paninira sa karapatang pantao at sa pagbagsak ng dignidad ng Pilipino. Hindi siya tumihimik, tutuloy na lumaban, tumuloy na tumulong, at nanibigan. Kaya hindi rin tayo pwedeng malungkot lang at magalit. On this occasion, I welcome you with hope in my heart and the hope in all of our hearts. And courage that we grow more because that is the sort of woman that we honor today. But more than anything, on this occasion, as I welcome you, what I feel is a sense of gratitude to Senator Leila for all she has been, for not giving up, for being our light, for being our example, for the one that we knew would never give up. And therefore, if there was someone like her, then we never gave up then, and we will not give up now. At yun yung ating sa aking pag-welcome sa inyo, ang pagpaabot ng pasasalamat kay Senator Leila for not giving up, for not shutting off her life, for never tiring of speaking truth to power, for never tiring of serving our people, for never giving up on our people, for never giving up on us. Laking pasasalamat, Senator Leila. And to everyone in the spirit of hope, courage, and gratitude, I welcome you to this occasion. Let this be, from here, let us move forward to continue to fight for her cause and to continue to pray and to work. But yes, on her next birthday, in fact, at the next Christmas, she will be with us in person, and we can hug her and thank her personally for all that she has been. Welcome to everyone. Good morning.
So I'll be reading a message from my sister, Attorney Leila M. De Lima. Bagong-bago, mainit pa ito. I just received it about 10 minutes ago. I was informed by her very hardworking staff, Prince and Mon Rosales, that Leila, this draft was finished yesterday, but this morning she requested to get it again and make some revisions and additions. So I think she's very much inspired to send a message to the hardworking and passionate, intellectual, smart members of every woman. Okay, so I'll be reading it now. Kumusta na kayo? I wish this is just a pakukumusta from a birthday vacation where I can low-key brag on your hard-working people of my long hours of sleep with promises of pasalubong when I come back. I never knew birthdays can be sad. Now, I admit I spend birthday mornings thinking about what would I be doing if I was free. Since 2017, I always wish that each will be the last in detention. I worry that the longer I stay here, I might lose track of the days. So I count my birthdays like I count my days in detention, so as not to forget that each day and each birthday brings me closer to my freedom and vindication. Kailangan laging kumapit sa pag-asa ng paglaya at pagbabago, like how birthdays are supposed to remind us of hope and new beginnings. But I reflect on the last 6 years, and there is nothing but gratitude for my family, you, my dearest friends, supporters, my staff, the constant message of support, even from strangers, for my life and for this opportunity to make it part of a greater and more meaningful struggle of a people fighting the good fight. Because really, this is no longer about me. 6 years of injustice is nothing compared to the sufferings of the victims of human rights violations perpetrated by the Duterte regime. My detention has been tagged as a test for Philippine democracy, and thus I have always been asked of the prospect post-Duterte. We have seen how fast a still fragile democracy can erode in the hands of populist authoritarians, especially if we do not fight back. There was no idle time spent in attacking democratic institutions and weaponizing them against legitimate dissent. We are yet to see if the Marcos presidency will follow the trajectory of its predecessor or tread an entirely different path towards truth and accountability. He has committed towards progressive alternatives to Duterte's bloody drug war, but refused to restore the Philippine membership in the ICC, and thus making it clear that he is not open on allowing the ICC to intervene. So, is there still hope for democracy in our country? My answer is still and will always be a resounding yes. It lies with the people who continue to hold on to that vision of a truly democratic society, advocate for it, and willingly work together for a better future for our people. As long as there is collective struggle to challenge an oppressive status quo and hold institutions to account and amid repression and setbacks, we will always have hope. Maraming salamat, #everywoman, for being my staunch defender and steadfast anchor since day one. Profound gratitude, Attorney Ted Te and Flag, for your generosity with your time and expertise. I look forward to the day we will meet and have spirited discussions with all of you again under better circumstances. Salamat, walang hanggang pasasalamat sa tiwala at pagmamahal. Tuloy ang laban. Leila M. De Lima, PNP Custodial Center, Camp Crame. Again, maraming salamat po, Professor Soc Reyes, and to all members of the Every Woman. As you said, ibang-iba si Leila, matapang, mabait, and sometimes I even wonder kung baka nga adopted ako kasi hindi naman ako kasing brave at kasing prinsipyo ng aking kapatid na si Leila. Siguro mga isang buwan pa lang I folded already. But in the case of my sister, 6 years and counting. Hopefully, hindi na po umabot ng 7 years. Hindi na po umabot ng additional month. Makalaya na po siya. Sometimes I wonder where the bravery comes from. I always thought that the bravery comes from our Lola, Felicissima Bagaporo, who was very brave and very strong-willed woman during her time. But then again, a friend shared to me a story about a hero in Brazil with a family name of De Lima. So galing din po pala yata sa De Lima DNA yung pagkamatapang ng aking kapatid. So maraming pong salamat sa inyong patuloy suporta sa aking kapatid. Birthday niya po today. Bukas po makakabisita po ako, tsaka si Israel, yung kanyang anak. Nabalitaan po sa akin ni Prince na this morning yung request visit nila Senator Drilon para kay Leila, sila Winnie Munsod at yung kanyang asawa, those were not granted. So nagtataka po ako kung bakit kahit pagbisita kay Leila, yung nasa poder po ay takot na takot. Hindi po ko alam, parang ang tingin po yata nila sa aking kapatid ay parang si Superwoman or si Wonder Woman. Isang simple lang po siyang tao na pinaglalaban ang karapatang pangtao ng marami sa ating mga Pilipino. Marami pong salamat, Professor Soc Reyes. Magaling na magaling po kayong teacher. You taught very well my sister. Thank you.
So before we proceed to the main feature of this activity, of this celebration, which is Attorney T's lecture, let's listen to some greetings. I think these are people who were denied the visit today. You know, so please, who's this? Sarah, can we have the messages of love, of hope, of gratitude, and prayers?
Happy birthday, San Leila! Kaysa ako sa lahat na nagmamahal sa iyo and wishing you love and joy today. Virtual man ang celebration natin, madamo mo sana na nandito kami kaming lahat para sa iyo at lumalaban kasama mo. Ditong nakalipas na 5 taon, isa ka sa mga huwaran at inspirasyon para sa amin ng tapang at paglilingkod sa bayan. Sa kabila ng mga kasinungalingan, sa kabila ng paninirang pinupukol nila sa iyo, hindi ka nagpatinag. Nananatili kang malakas at matatag ang loob. At kasama mo, nagkakaroon din kami ng lakas na tumindig dahil alam natin, sa dulo, laging mananaig ang liwanag sa dilim. Anumang ibato nila, lalabas ang katotohanan. At ngayong araw mo, ipapangako rin namin, tuloy lang ang laban natin. Para sa karapatang pantao, para sa katotohanan, at para sa dignidad at kalayaan ng bawat Pilipino. Nitong nakalipas na mga taon, aminado tayong mas tumitindi rin ang mga puwersa na kailangan nating kalabanin. Pero naniniwala rin ako, walang dahilan para matakot at mawalan tayo ng pag-asa. Nitong nakalipas na eleksyon, nakita natin yung di mapantayang puwersa na nagkakaisang Pilipino. Yung volunteerism, yung libo-libong taong nakiisa sa panawagan nating iangat ang buhay ng lahat. At yung nasimula nating kilusan ng radikal na pagmamahal. Napakarami na nating magkakasama at humahakbang tungo sa pangarap nating Pilipinas. Kaya walang dahilan para panghinaan ng loob. Umpisa pa lang ito ng pagsulong pa natin. At kasama mo, tuloy ang trabaho natin tungo sa mas matatayog at mas malalaki pa nating hangarin para sa bayan. Lagi kang laman ng aming mga dasal, Sen Leila. Gabayan at ingatan ka sana lagi ng Panginoon. Muli, happy birthday sa'yo.
Happy birthday, Leila! Sana'y nananatili kang ligtas at malusog. I'm sure you already know, sobra akong humahanga sa iyong tatag, pasensya at lakas ng loob. The past several years have been incredibly difficult for us, for our communities that dream of a country that, at the bare minimum, respects our human rights and dignity. At ikaw ang isa sa mga taong patuloy na lumalaban para sa ganitong klaseng Pilipinas. Because of your tireless work as a public servant, even when people try to silence you, you have remained a guiding force in our pursuit of justice, not only for yourself, but for every Filipino. Salamat sa gabay. Salamat sa pag-asa. I hope to see you soon. And again, a happy birthday. Mahal kita.
Nais kong batiin si former Senator Leila de Lima. Leila, a very happy birthday to you. Pareho tayong August borns. At sabi nila, beautiful people ang August borns. So happy birthday to you, Senator Leila. At patuloy tayong nananalangin at sinusulong ang iyong kalayaan, your freedom. We are fighting for your freedom. We are pushing for your freedom. We are praying also for your freedom. Sama-sama natin pagtutulungan yan ng ating mga kaalyado at mga kasamahan sa partido at siyempre sa people's movement na nabuno at lalong lumakas itong nakaraang halalan. Happy birthday, Leila. Yung kwentuhan natin, huwag mong kakalimutan yung movie list, Breaking Bad, at ako'y natutuwa, aliw na aliw ka ngayon sa mga K-pop drama, at nakikita natin na ito ang isa sa mga paraan para mas gumaan ang iyong pagiging detainee. But of course, we're all praying and hoping and fighting that you will be free to be able to watch these movies in the comfort of your own home or maybe in the movie house. Yan ang ipaglalaban natin. At nakikita naman natin sa iyong mga kaso, unti-unting namumulat o na-expose na at lumalabas ang katotohanan na lahat ng mga paratang laban sa iyo ay walang katuturan, walang basihan at pagsisinungaling ang siyang naging dahilan. Dahil marami na ang nagre-retract sa mga testigo na binabawi ang kanilang paratang. And that shows and is proof that from day one, the charges against you were fabricated, baseless, and that you are innocent. And we will fight for that. Again, my birthday wish to you is freedom. And my birthday promise to you is we will continue to fight for your freedom. Happy birthday, Senator Leila.
Warmly greet Senator Leila de Lima a very happy birthday. Our support for you remains strong and steadfast, for we know you are innocent of what are clearly trumped-up charges against you. We believe that soon you will be vindicated by our courts because there is simply no evidence against you. The witnesses against you have recanted, revealing to the entire world that the charges against you are pure fabrication. We admire your courage as well as your faith that in the end justice will prevail. We are certain that soon the Filipino people will know the truth about the evil deeds that evil men have done to you. We must ensure that the ordeal that you are going through will never again happen to another Filipino. Mabuhay ka, Senator Leila de Lima. Happy birthday.
Dear Senator Leila, happy birthday. Yes, be happy. We are all happy. After all, it is said that happiness is a direction, not a place. Your demonstrated unwavering courage alone spells happiness. We have been faced with many challenges. We have our own battles to fight. You have kept fighting, and you have inspired us no end. We want to let you know that our prayers remain and that we love you very much. Best, cheers!
Happiest birthday, Senator Leila. I attended the Mass yesterday, and during the homily, I remembered you. The priest talked about sacrifices, and I remember all the sacrifices you have done, not only for your family, but for the entire country. So on this special day of yours, let me extend to you how grateful I am for all those sacrifices that you have done and you are continuously doing for us. Happy birthday, maligayang bati po, at magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat.
Maraming salamat for all the birthday greetings, for the messages of love, gratitude, prayers. Meron lang akong late breaking news from Tetong. Nasabi na natin to kanina na denied, no, yung visit ng mga stalwarts. I'll just give you a complete list. Ito yung mga dinenay ng PNP. Number one, former Secretary Julia Abad, former Senior Associate Justice Antonio Carpio, former Associate Justice and Ombudsman Conchita Carpio Morales, Dr. Vicente de Lima Jr., yung kanyang kapatid na doktor, Attorney Chel Diokno, former Senator Franklin Drilon, Congressman Edsel Lagman, Professor Winnie Monsod, Attorney Christian Monsod, Secretary Mar Rojas, Congressman Tom Villarin, at si Senator Risa humabol din. Tingnan niyo to, no? Denied, and these are all the stalwarts. Kaya ang ating interpretation dito, well, mukhang meron pa ring mga Duterte henchmen sa PNP na still obeying orders, no, from yung nasa Davao na o baka yung nasa north, so talagang mahirap pa din ang laban ni Leila, and we should really, tayo, we should keep going. Hindi to nakakalungkot na balita ito, kasi kung ibig sabihin talagang pa rin sila, hell-bent pa rin to keep her there. Okay, ngayon naman sa pagpapatuloy natin, nandito na tayo sa pinaka-highlight ng ating programa, at ito ay ang lecture or talk ni Attorney Ted Te na ipakikilala sa atin ni Maris Diokno. Maris, over to you.
Salamat, Sok, at napakagandang umaga sa inyong lahat. Happy birthday kay Senator Leila. Our speaker this morning is a lawyer, but not just any lawyer. Napakahusay na guro, from what I hear, and one who cares deeply about his students. Right after the last elections, his students asked him why they should still study law, and when those who violate the law, for example, hindi nagbabayad ng tax, are qualified to run and even win. Feeling just as bleakly as his students, our speaker tweeted, and I quote, "I did a processing session with some of my students yesterday on why they should still study law and become lawyers. And I think it helped me more than it helped them." End quote. Our guest has also had experience as a lawyer administrator, having served as Vice President for Legal Affairs of UP system from 2001 08 to 11, and thereafter, he was chief of the Public Information Office of the Supreme Court of the Philippines. He also has a visible presence on social media where he explains the law to non-lawyers, condemns wrongdoing, and to the delight of his followers, advocates for the Celtics team and his favorite pop culture figures and films. Above all, our speaker is a human rights lawyer. In court, out on the streets, if necessary, in the classroom, and on social media. He is the regional coordinator of FLAG, Metro Manila, a fervent supporter of Senator Leila, of women's rights, and of all our freedoms. I am proud to introduce our fellow feminist and friend, attorney and professor, Ted Te. Ted, it's all yours.
Maraming salamat, Maris, for those kind words. Thank you and good morning to everyone. Thank you for your invitation to speak this morning. This is not so much a lecture as maybe a sharing of some insights on the situation of Senator Leila de Lima, as well as some other women human rights defenders and advocates. But first of all, I'd like to greet, of course, Senator Leila. A very, very happy birthday. I know you will get to see this the day after. I continue to pray for you, continue to pray for your protection, continue to pray for grace and courage that you may continue to fight and continue to be inspired to continue fighting. If I may be, okay, give me 2 seconds to share my screen. Okay, and I'm hoping that you're able to see this. The statement attributed to Mao is, "Women hold up half the sky." It's a poetic reference to the role of women in nation building and the power of women to help transform society. And so today, as we celebrate Senator Leila's continuing journey and fight for justice, we recall her character, we remember her courage, and we renew our commitment to her and to many other women who continue to hold up their half of the sky. We've heard and we are very well aware of how the journey of Senator Leila started, how the persecution of Senator Leila started. But I think this persecution is best captured in this image that is, I think, unforgettable to many. The handshake in the first State of the Nation address of the former president, which led, of course, to proceedings, formal and informal proceedings against Senator Leila. These proceedings were not only in court, they were also in the halls of Congress. They were not only in formal institutions, but they were also in informal institutions on social media. For example, the campaign to vilify her, to destroy her, to damage irreparably her reputation, to create a taint that her enemies thought she could not recover from, all started from this handshake. And so as we continue to journey with Senator Leila, we want to reflect on the many ways that we can continue to help and support her, that we can continue to give her strength. Since I am a lawyer primarily and a law teacher, I wanted to just share some of my reflections on some pathways to justice for Senator Leila. I prefer to call them pathways simply because a pathway for me is a channel, is a road, is something that leads us somewhere. And because our goal, our shared goal, is of course justice for Senator Leila, we want to explore what these pathways are. Of course, the most visible pathway and the most understandable pathway would be the legal pathway. And that is what her lawyers are hard at work at, her trial lawyers. And the pathway, of course, that we're talking about is acquittal. because we know that the charges are without basis. The charges are trumped up. The charges are, as Justice Carpio said, without basis, really. And so, in the course of the proceedings, we are confident that, the courts will find that she is not guilty and that a judgment of acquittal will be rendered. However, acquittal does not by itself lend to justice. It is part of the pathway to justice for Senator Leila, because acquittal in legal language can also simply mean the prosecution has not discharged its burden and that the court did not find that the evidence was strong enough to warrant a conviction. So in many instances, acquittal does not mean innocence. Acquittal does not mean exoneration. And so the journey, the struggle must not stop there. It must not stop at acquittal. It must continue. And another pathway should be vindication. Vindication. There must already be, if there are not yet, there must be steps taken to seek the truth about the misogynistic and sexist lies that were spread that helped to silence her, to deplatform her, to sully her name and reputation. I recall a petition that was filed in the Supreme Court, a petition that was filed by Attorney Chel Diokno for Senator Leila. And the petition was entitled Leila de Lima versus Rodrigo Duterte. To just two names. No official capacity, no titles. And it was a petition for habeas data. And the issue then was very simple. Since the former president had gone public stating that there were all of these, sex videos, all of these things that helped to destroy her reputation, the issue presented was very simple. Give the petitioner, Senator Leila, access to what you say are these sex videos. Put up or shut up, essentially. Unfortunately, the Supreme Court denied the petition. Not because it was not meritorious. The court did not reach that point. The court simply said, as president, Duterte could not be sued. Could not be sued. The question now is, can that very same petition now be filed? Because he is no longer president. The purpose of such a petition would be to find the truth and to have the truth spread out over the pages not only of the Supreme Court's decisions, but on every page that carry those lies. And that is why it is a pathway to vindication, to show who she really is and not what she was painted to be. The third pathway would be restoration. Again, acquittal will not simply restore her. There has been so much damage to her reputation and to the goodwill that she has created over many years of private practice as well as public service and over the last 6 years of her life, that an acquittal simply does not work to restore all of these things. So a pathway to justice must include a pathway towards restoration. It is essential in criminal law, which I teach and have been teaching for many, many years, that any action that the court takes must consider restoring what has been lost, if possible. Of course, reputation, goodwill, a good name cannot just simply be restored by simply saying that the prosecution has not proven their case and that the evidence against her was simply not enough. There have to be active efforts to restore her name and her reputation. The fourth pathway is restitution. Her sacrifice is not simply the sacrifice of name and reputation. There have been definitely many other sacrifices. Loss of livelihood, loss of opportunities, loss of time. All of these are great losses. A pathway to justice must include a pathway towards restitution. These have been taken away from her unjustly, and they must be given back. Any pathway to justice for Senator Leila must also include full accountability. I will no longer recite the names of who are complicit in her persecution. There are too many to mention, and we already know who they are. Suffice it to say that many were complicit in her persecution. Some of them are no longer in power, but others are still in power. There are elephants in the room. The recantation of the witnesses against her have brought to light on record something that many of us already knew from the very start, that the proceedings against her were not only fabricated, but they were part of a campaign waged officially. The names of those who have engaged in that campaign, some of their names have been mentioned by these witnesses who have recanted. Any pathway to justice for Senator Leila must include accountability for those who have been complicit in her persecution, for those who said misogynistic words against her, for those who painted her in the worst possible light on record, for those who did not say anything in the light of those words that were said. So the pathway to justice for Senator Leila should not stop with the courts, should not stop with her being acquitted, because that acquittal will come as we hope, as we pray. But again, with that acquittal does not come automatically vindication, does not come automatically with restoration, with restitution or accountability. And so there is so much more that needs to be done. And I know that that many of us have been waging this war to bring justice to Senator Leila as well as many other human rights defenders. And so we must continue to be hopeful, if not optimistic, that at some point, someday, maybe not immediately, that we will be able to bring about not just acquittal, but vindication, restoration, restitution, and accountability, not just for Senator Leila, but for many other women who have been oppressed, have been persecuted, and continue to be oppressed and persecuted in the same way. Women hold up half the sky, but they bear also the weight of the world. If you will allow me to just simply mention a few who have been victimized in the same way that Senator Leila has been victimized by this campaign, this war against women. Zara Alvarez was a human rights defender whose condition after being red tagged was brought to the court through a petition for amparo, which the court did not immediately grant. While her petition was being heard. She was killed August 17, 2020. Amanda Chanis, charged with illegal possession of firearms, not bailable. While pregnant, she was arrested December 2, 2020. She gave birth in jail. Ina Nasino, again charged with illegal possession of firearms, arrested November 2019. Gave birth in detention. Her baby River died July 1, 2020. Journalist Frenchie May Cumpio, charged with illegal possession of firearms. She continues to be detained. Lady Anne Salem, charged and later on had her case dismissed. Again, she's a journalist. Well, Maria Ressa, of course, charged with cyber libel, convicted of cyber libel, has her case pending. These are just some. There are many others. Some better known, some unknown to many of us who continue to bear the weight of the world while fighting to hold up half the sky in this war against women. And this war against women is not just simply because they are being charged with fabricated cases, but because there are obviously, apparently, double standards in the way that they are treated, that they are being handled. We heard from Senator Lila's brother that there are certain conditions that are imposed against her while in detention that are probably not being observed, that were not observed for others who probably were not women. Of course, we had occasion to be horrified by other senators who were celebrating their parties inside detention. I will no longer mention who they are. I'm sure we remember who they are. Yet, Senator Leila has to have visitors approved ahead of time before she can even visit. She's not allowed a phone. She's not allowed a laptop. She has limited privileges for television. Well, we are not saying that, and she would probably be the last to ask for special treatment. I guess what we need to simply say is that it's not special treatment if you are discriminating against her. So we remember not only Senator Leila, but we remember other women who continue to fight for rights, who continue to bear the brunt of persecution, of discrimination, of unfair treatment, who continue to bear the war against women. I heard early on Professor Stock mention that yes, this has been going on for some time, and that many times we feel tired, right? And definitely that is something that is very human, that is something that all of us can relate to. But I have been asked many times by some of my clients, what gives you hope? I have been asked that before the elections. I've been asked that right after the elections. I'm being asked that even now. What gives you hope? What makes you continue? What gives me hope is believing that God has a plan for all of us. And sometimes that plan is written straight with crooked lines. Sometimes we have to go through the curves, the humps, some roadblocks. before we can get to the straight path. And so it gives me hope that yes, there is a plan. There's a greater plan ahead of us. And all we need to do is just continue down the road, looking straight ahead, because we know that there is something up ahead for us. I'd like to end this very short sharing with a few words from a former senator, a former trial lawyer, a former Secretary of Justice, and a former CHR chair. Very similar to who Senator Leila is. Borrowing from the words of Senator Jose Diokno, speaking about lawfare, a term that was coined many years ago but is now very aptly used in relation to what Senator Leila is undergoing. Words that he said in 1986. Senator Diokno asked, what can we do to avoid the repetition of these atrocities, referring to atrocities during martial law? Clearly, the rule of law as we know it was not enough. Politically powerful leaders interpreted the law as they pleased, and the courts were subservient to them. That was the end of the rule of law. Inter arma silent leges. In the clash of arms, the laws are silent. Human rights lawyers and activists tried to reverse the formula. Inter leges silent arma. Among the laws, arms are silent, but to no avail. At best, they could produce dents in the system, but not breakthroughs. Law must find support in something outside law, just as justice can be judged only by values other than the value of justice. What would those things be? Those things outside law, those values other than the value of justice that Kapepe refers to here. In his remarks in the same speech, he ended by saying that we should remain united because, quote, against a united people, no force can prevail, not even state violence, unquote. And if I may add to this, against a hopeful people, no force can prevail, not even state violence. And so we want to continue to be hopeful. We want to continue to put our shoulders to the plow and go ahead with the grind. We want to continue to look ahead and continue to implement the things that we need to implement to bring about these pathways to justice for Senator Leila, to work for her acquittal, to work for her vindication, to work for restoration, to work for restitution, to work for accountability. And in doing that, we want to consider what Senator Diokno, Kapepe, said in 1986, that law must find support in something outside the law, because if the law is not helpful to you, then you must look for something outside of the law. And so we should continue our campaigns outside of filing cases. We must continue to make noise. We must continue to push for freedom for Leila. We must continue to document all of the violations of her rights and the rights of other women and men fighting for rights. We must continue to assert all legal and meta-legal remedies that are available to us. We must continue to assert the Bill of Rights and the rights guaranteed under international human rights instruments. And most of all, we should continue to tune in. We must continue to tune in, not tune out. And if this were not done online, I'm sure many of us, I'm sure we would probably end this short reflection with a visible show of support. But because we're doing this online, maybe I'd like to end this short sharing by simply asking all of us to use our keyboards right now. Whether you are on Zoom or on Facebook or on social media. Madali lang po gawin. Type natin sa chat box, whether sa Zoom or sa social media, #FreeLilaNow. Para ipakita natin na we continue to tune in and that we are not tuning out. That we are continuing to fight for Leila, not only to be acquitted, but also to be vindicated, to be restored, to have restitution, and to have accountability. At dahil birthday po niya, at alam naman po natin ang pinaka-visible sign ni Senator De Lima, maaari din po siguro natin gawin, whether gusto natin gawin, live on camera or using the emoji, the raise hand emoji. Taas natin ang kamay natin para kay Senator Leila. We continue to renew our commitment to her. We continue to recall her courage. We continue to remember her character, and we continue to be thankful to Senator Leila, not only for being a symbol, but for continuing to be an inspiration. I want to end with her letter on her 2000th day of detention. We're all familiar with this letter, but I want to end with her words. I have lived my public life fighting for justice, especially for those who have no means to fight for themselves. Now I also fight for my own deliverance from injustice and for vindication. And I will persist in doing so in spite of the futile attempts to break me. I wait for the day when justice returns in our country. In the meantime, laban lang. And so we say, laban lang. Maraming salamat.
Maraming salamat, Attorney Te. Napaka malaman naman ang sharing mo, and I think we really learned a lot. And those things we can only learn from a very learned, very passionate, very consistent advocate of the law na si Attorney Te. So marami pong salamat.